Restart the recording. All right. So just so you guys know, I know that right now some of you guys are not students at all, so finals are irrelevant to you. Landon looks like is almost done as of Wednesday. We'll be completely done with finals, completely done with school forever. I know that's something you've been looking forward to for a while, and coming home. And then pretty much everybody else is either literally in finals at this moment or in a study session at this moment or preparing. So number one, I do want to just recognize, especially college students, for where you are right now and what you have going on right now. And I do want to thank you for carving out some time to do this meeting with me tonight. My number one objective for this evening is just to kind of lay out the plan for what the next few weeks look like as we go into the winter break, and to help you understand what we're looking to get done. Number one, I do want to start with a little bit of recognition. I believe at this point, all of you guys are familiar with our President's Club Award. I saw last week or 2 weeks ago in the Leadership Academy GroupMe, Lydia Frentsos and a couple others were getting recognized for winning President's Club. It's when you sell a certain amount over a certain period of time. And you get a letter of recommendation from the CEO of Vector, along with an award and a line item to put on your resume. And Kevin Garcia just got, I believe it's your second President's Club award, which is pretty exciting. It's over on the desk, so I'll give it to you before you leave tonight. But did want to give congrats to Kevin. Also, we've had a couple of you guys already do your 1 hour blocks with me to work on PRs. At this point, Carissa has 5 people that she's scheduled for interviews, and 2 of them are already set for training. Madison has 4 of her friends set for interviews, and 3 are already set for training. Nick has already launched one from training. We just need to get him to sell another $104, and Nick gets $1,000 in credit towards winning Jamaica. And then I did this with Will right before Leadership Academy, and we already have 2 of his friends scheduled for interviews. I do want to encourage you guys, by the way, for those of you who picked a time with me, just make sure it's in your calendar. You have an alarm set to go off so we get this done. We really only have one last week. My preference would be that we weren't doing it during finals week, but it's okay. We just got to make sure we execute and get the thing done. And I do want to encourage you guys, for those of you who have already done this with me, or if you're scheduled, keep adding more names in there. It really, at the end of the day, is a numbers game. It's so funny. When I was talking to Madison about this, she was like, oh, I don't want to recommend my friends. I recommended them in the summer. I don't want them to be mad. They weren't interested. And then we texted all her friends, and a bunch of them were super excited. And her first comment after we scheduled 5 of her friends for interviews was, I really didn't think anybody was going to be interested. And my response to that was, well, A, told you, right? B, it's a numbers game, and you just never know whose situation is going to be different, what's changed since you recommended them in the summer, or what's going on for the winter break. You don't know. And then when I did this with Will, it was so funny. The first 3 people that we texted responded that they weren't interested, and you could tell he got super discouraged. He's like, oh, like, let's stop. And I was like, no, we're pressing on. And we ended up getting 2 of his friends scheduled so far. And I'm certain that, by the way, I just texted him and then jumped on here. I'm certain over the next couple of days, we'll get another 2 or 3 or 4 scheduled from there. So it really is a numbers game. If you get 25 people in the Google form, you can probably expect to have about 3 to 5 people schedule interviews. If you get 50 people in the Google form, you can expect about 7 people or so to schedule interviews. And if you get 100 people in the Google form, you can pretty much expect to get maximum credit for the Jamaica trip. Right? But it's a numbers game. So I would encourage you just to work the numbers and don't be worried about the couple of people that aren't interested. They affect nothing at the end of the day. We're just trying to give an opportunity. But just FYI, it does take more than 3 people scheduled for training to get full credit, because I can promise you there will be some people that schedule training and then life happens and they don't make it to their training. And even if they start training later, it doesn't count for the credit. Right? Or there will be some people that do the training, but they don't sell the 500. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. So rather than just get 3 people scheduled for training and then cross your fingers that they sell enough to get you credit, let's work the numbers and just get more people scheduled for training, right? Beautiful. That said, I have on the board all of your guys' first days returning back from school. I want to schedule a powwow. So this is the first thing I'd like you to put in your notes. I'd like to schedule a powwow with each of you within 48 hours of when you return home. Now, for Nick and for Kevin and for Kayla, you guys are local. So I'd like to schedule with you guys, and I'll reach out maybe tonight, probably tomorrow with some times. But I'd like to get you guys ASAP since school is, for Nick and Kevin, a complete non-issue. For Kayla, you're local. For Landon, I'd like to get one with you by the weekend. And then for the others, just depending on when you get home. But I'd like to get that preferably in person. Obviously, if that's an issue with distance, we can do it on Zoom. My preference would be in person. And the goal of that powwow will be to design your personal schedule through the end of January and all the things that happen between the end of finals through the holidays and beyond. 2 quick reminders I want to give you that you want to put in your notes. We have our next Divisional Leadership Academy on December 19th. And then after that's over, we do our holiday party. The holiday party is a ton of freaking fun. We go to an undisclosed location, which may or may not be Kate's house, depending on whether she opens that up to us or not. But either way, whether we're at her house or one of the offices, we get everybody together after the Divisional Leadership Academy is over. We have a lot of guests, so boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others, they're invited. My lovely wife always joins us. And we do a really cool thing to celebrate the holiday. One of the most fun parts of the holiday party, and Kayla can vouch for this because she's been through it twice now, if I remember correctly, maybe just once. This will be your second. But the White Elephant gift exchange is friggin' amazing. So I want to prep you for what that is. You get a $20 maximum gift. And it can be anything. I've seen people do like really cool electronics or gadgets for $20. I've seen people do gift cards like iTunes or Xbox Live or Starbucks or Chipotle, whatever, right? I've seen people do books, all kinds of stuff. I've also seen gag gifts that are just a mess, but hilarious. I remember one time my most masculine guy on my team at the time won a $20 makeup kit. That wasn't even a good makeup kit. It was like paint glitter onto your face makeup. It was wonderful. I'm so glad he got that. And then it's basically competitive Secret Santa. So you wrap it up, you put everything into a pile, and then you draw in numbers, and then you can swipe, steal, forcibly exchange your gifts. It's like competitive Secret Santa. It's the most fun activity that we do the entire year. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I do want to remind you of our startup deadlines. So by December 19th, you need to have a minimum of $750 in your startup to be on track. I do want to give credit, and I didn't make a list. I know that Kevin, I know that Charlie, I know that Becky, I know that Grant, I believe Kayla, but I've lost track of exactly where you are. I know for sure that Madison are over the minimum. Actually, I believe that everybody I just mentioned is over 1,000. Some of you guys are already over 1,500 and 2,000, so that's outstanding. And then the minimum by January 25th is 1,000. And I know Kayla, Charlie, hello, sir. I know Kayla, her goal is to get to $5,000, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so you're nodding. So Kayla's goal is to be at $5,000 by the end of January. So if you're competitive and trying to be the number one saver, that's what you're competing against, right? So I know some of you guys could do that, and I would much rather be the person that competes in savings than competes in spendings, right? Right, Kevin?
I don't spend
anything. Let's see you. Anyway, so what I would like to do, if you guys have your calendar, is I want to give you just a general walkthrough of the winter break plan. And obviously, right, full disclosure, full transparency, my ideal is that all of you guys take Christmas Day off and work every other single day all the way through the end of January. That would be perfect for me. But I know that's not reality, and I know that's not life. So just FYI, we're going to customize a plan for each of you. And the reason I say that is I know that some of you guys are home for the entire month of January. I know some of you guys go back pretty much right after New Year's. I know some of you guys aren't doing any travel whatsoever. And I know some of you guys are doing 1 or 2 different trips during the winter break. I know some of you guys are really focused on selling a lot and earning as much as possible. I know some of you guys are really focused on getting office experience. My hope is to get all of you guys a combination of both of those things. I also realize that some of you live right in Anne Arundel County, and some of you live all the way in not Anne Arundel County. I was going to say something inappropriate, and I censored myself at the last minute. It's I'm getting better. Either way. So the reason I say that now is I'm just going to give you a general walkthrough right now. when we do our powwow together, I've got a calendar already laid out where I can show you every single thing. And I'll show you my template. And then as we always do, we'll customize and tailor it to you. But I am going to ask you to take some notes here. If you can, put it right into your calendar so that you have at least the outline of what we're looking for. So number one, the majority of you guys are finishing up with finals this week and by the middle of next week and coming home sometime next week. And you're going to have roughly a week before Christmas. My goal for that week before Christmas is that all of you guys are participating in recruiting, either helping us advertising, scheduling interviews, potentially running interviews during that time, and also working on your list of people that you can call for the push. All right, so those are going to be the two big things before Christmas. And of course, by the way, if you don't celebrate Christmas, it's another holiday. This is inclusive. Please forgive me if I only mention Christmas, of course, right? I know there's others. But either way, you're also going to get some time to hang out with friends and family, of course. On Christmas Eve, the office is open. We typically let new management candidates that have never run an interview before run an interview on Christmas Eve early in the morning. And then, of course, you get the afternoon and the evening to hang out with your family and do whatever. Christmas Day, the office is closed. We do not do nothing on Christmas Day. And then on the 26th and the 27th, I run one of the largest training seminars of the entire year called the Big Dance. By the way, as of today, we have over 45 people already scheduled for training, and we have another almost 2 weeks to keep building that up. The goal is to get it over 100. So that's what we're looking for. And everybody who's either on track to being a branch or a district manager, or at least keeping your options open, you're going to watch that training. Okay. Now, by the way, for the people that live in Carroll County and Virginia, my hope is that we can get you to come physically to my office to watch my training. I do want you to watch my training, not anybody else's in the division, because we're the only one running the 2-day 12-hour training versus the 3-day 20+ hour training. And we're the only ones doing the video demo training, which is what you'll be teaching next summer. So that's why I'd like to work it out so that all of you guys can watch mine, because it's exactly what you'll be doing next summer rather. And then after the training is over, my hope is that we can get all of you guys 3 to 5 days of intensive training in the office, learning and doing management skills, managing the team that we just launched from the training. And then January 1st and 2nd, that's a lie. If you want to mark in your calendar, January 2nd and 3rd, we're going to have big phone jams just like SC2. And I think almost every single one of you guys here, with the exception of Kevin, who started after SC2 was over, participated in these phone jams. So you remember we set it up. We made it fun, right? We had some contests and events and raffles and stuff, but we had 2 really big phone jams where the goal is to book 30, 35 plus appointments in a couple days to surge you into the Jamaica Push. And then the Jamaica Push, it goes from January 4th to 16th. 4th to 16th. Now, during the push, your number one job is obviously to sell some Cutcos, right? The office goal is to sell $100,000 in January. And of course, you guys help with that. And also for yourselves to not just win the Jamaica Push, but also to get your own promotion levels up, to get your own big paychecks that you can promote and talk about in your office next summer, and also to solidify your savings and solidify your promotion for next summer. So that push is going to be really important. During the push, we're going to give you guys minimal office duties, except when you have holes in your schedule or whatever else that you're available. And again, just to be clear, the goal is not that you're for 12 days only selling Cutco and the rest of your life is on pause. That's not what we're after. But the goal is that we're pushing and making you guys a lot of money in a very short period of time. That is what we're after, right? We will do the 10Xs in the morning at 8 a.m. just like we did last summer. And then I made a list for myself. And if you want to take some notes here of what's in it for you, I made a list for myself. What's in it for you to win the trip to Jamaica? Number one is a trip to Jamaica. All right, that's a place that I've never been. I'm really pumped to go to that one. I may or may not have ordered some Jamaica themed swag to decorate the office with. May or may not have. May or may not. But I'm really pumped for winning the trip and of course having Vector sponsor that. Number two is earning between $1,000 and $3,000 in 2 weeks. There aren't a whole lot of places where you can get that done, especially at your age. That's really fired up. And I know for a lot of you guys, the money that you went into the fall semester with is pretty much toast. So being able to refresh the coffers before the spring is a big opportunity. Just so you know, our top reps, by the way, so we'll have some people that just sell $3,000 or $6,000 or $10,000. Our top reps sell $20,000 for January and earn $5,000 plus. And I know there are some of you guys that just doesn't line up with your availability or your goals, and that's okay. But for those of you that want to be at the top of the charts, $20,000 is what the top people typically go for. I also think about the experience and the confidence. For me, you guys know my story at this point. I had quit Vector. By the way, I started in the month of January in the big dance, actually. So the 26th will be my 14th anniversary with Vector, which is pretty exciting. But when I left the business and then came back, it was in the month of January. So I came back as a sales rep. I did training from scratch again in the big dance, right? So I wasn't shadowing it. I was in training again. And that was when I launched, and I had my $20,000 January, and then I set my personal best record after that. And I'll be honest with you, when I opened up my district office in 2013, I didn't feel prepared. There were some new programs and new products and new things that had come out since I had left the business that I wasn't feeling very good with. And there were some things that I hadn't done, like I hadn't run a phone interview. I hadn't run a training seminar. I hadn't run an advanced training before I opened up my office. So I was really not feeling prepared, right? But we sold $500,000 in the first 3 months after I opened up my office. And I would tell you with 100% certainty that the reason my office did so well was not that I was the best possible manager I could be. It was that I had sold a lot of Cutco, right? I sold a lot of Cutco, so I was really good at teaching people how to sell a lot of Cutco. Right? And the reps were telling me like, oh, they can't afford it. They said this. And I'm like, yeah, I heard that too. Boom, here's what you do. And it was just that. The more Cutco you sell, the better you are at teaching people how to sell. So when I put experience and confidence, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Another one that is going to be relevant to a lot of you guys is earning a spot on the events team for the spring semester and for next summer. All right, there are going to be some of you guys that in the spring, by the way, Kayla's at an event right now. Actually, Kayla, do you know, and if you don't know or don't want to share, that's okay, but do you know how much you made so far today?
Say it again. There's dogs in the mall barking. I can't hear you.
That is really weird. But do you know how much you've made so far today?
Sorry, say it one more time.
How many dollars have you made so far today?
I don't know. I think I sold right under 1,000 today, so what's that, like 300, somewhere in that range, almost 300. I don't know, something like that.
You're at 45%. So if you sold almost 1,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
Nice.
I was thinking about before bonus. So
yeah, good problem. Yeah. Made almost. If you were at Dirty 30, would have made about 300.
Yeah.
Bonus, so she made almost $450 just in the past couple hours, just kind of hanging out in the mall, sitting there watching dogs walk by. That's pretty cool. But there are going to be some of you guys that can do that in the spring semester and literally just work 1 or 2 weekends out of the month and make a good chunk of money in a very short period of time. And then for our management team in the summer, the events team is part of what you do, whether you're an assistant manager or a branch manager or a district manager. You can work an event for just a couple days out of the week and make some really good money. By the way, Chris Starrett is our #1 district manager. He has personally sold $30,000 and he's made almost $15,000 just in bonus profit. And he's qualified for, I think, 4 different bonuses just based on working 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 weekends out of the month in the fall campaign, which is pretty, I need to do that is what I'm trying to say. But either way, so the events team becomes an option and available. Another big one is just earning your spot for next summer. We've talked about this before, but there are some of you guys right now that are thinking that you definitely do not want to be a branch or a district manager next summer, and that's okay. But I've seen a ton of people where they get through the winter break and then they start saying, I want that because I got the experience of managing a team in the winter, and I want to do that. That was Bryce Zemer last year. He went into winter break saying he absolutely did not want to be a branch. And then at the end of January, was like, I definitely want to be a branch. There will be other people that don't know what they want to do, but based on the office experience and their selling experience in the winter break, they'll figure out what they want to do, whether it's being an assistant or something else. And then I'll tell you very honestly, there are going to be a couple of people that are on track to being a branch, but they need to move their savings forward, or they need to move their personal sales forward, and they won't. And they won't. And they will not be offered a position of their choosing. They might be offered a position, but not the position of their choosing for next summer. I was meeting with Kate just the other day, and it looks like we're going to be promoting 17 people out of the DC Metro division to be office managers next summer. And the honest truth is, when we pulled up our list of people, there are more than 17 candidates. All right, there's more than 17 candidates. So it is going to be your chance to earn your spot for the summer. And then the last thing is simply helping the TM. And again, helping us hit our goal of $100,000 for January and $750,000 for the year. So all of that is up for grabs in the process of winning a friggin' trip to Jamaica, which is amazing. All right, amazing. 2 quick notes for you guys is that I mentioned this already, but I do want to have all of you guys watch my training, because that's what you're going to be running next summer, is the 2-day video demo training. But our candidates in Virginia, we'll work out a plan for each of you. It may make sense to have you guys come up to my office on a periodic basis, but it may also make sense to have you guys train out of the Rockville office for the stuff that they do the same as us because of distance. So we'll work that out one-on-one, but just FYI, that's a thing that may be a thing. And then on our powwow, we'll create a custom plan to accommodate your personal schedule and all the other things. So like I said, it's a lot. It's a really busy time. It is a mini summer, but I don't want you to feel like all you have to do is work over the winter break. But I did want to give you plenty of notice of what is coming up around the corner. Cool? Let me pause for a moment. Any questions on any of the stuff I just covered so far?
How many TMs are going to be promoted?
That is a great question that I wish I knew the answer to. Kevin was asking how many districts are getting promoted. I know it's looking like 17 offices, but I don't know the breakdown between branch managers and district managers. Okay. So let me give you guys 3 things for what's important now. You got to screw the top on before you pour water all over yourself again.
Oh, really?
No.
I had no idea.
I could turn the camera around and show everybody you covered in water, but as a courtesy, I won't.
Thank you.
Also, already wiped it off, so it's not even looking that amazing anymore. But he literally just took a Gatorade bottle and the top wasn't on. It was great. It was Kevin Garcia, just in case you're wondering. Kevin. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Throw up his profile picture.
Nick, you're not the only one who gets put on blast. Also, random fact, Kevin met up with me at the Arundel Mills Mall the other day, randomly, showed up, and he sent me a picture of my car. And he's like, hey, I'm here too. And I was like, that's interesting. I've got a stalker.
No, you invited me to come.
I did, but then you sent me a picture of my car.
You told me.
It's a personal picture.
Anyway, anyway, the 3 things that are important now, and I'm going to wrap up with this more than a little bit early. Number 1 is very simply maxing out PRs, both getting a lot of leads in the Google form as well as helping me schedule them for interviews ASAP. The goal is that they start training on December 26th, but that means that their interviews need to happen soon. All right, number 2 is I want you guys to start working on your names list right away. The goal, and I want you to write this down, the goal is that you've got 100 solid leads. These can be people that you got recommended to last summer that you haven't called. They can be people that you've met, that you've added to your list. They can be people that you sit down with your mom or dad or favorite aunt and you get them to give you more people. They can be people that you do the Nextdoor app or the neighborhood thing with. I don't care how you get them, but what I don't want is that you just have a list of people that you called last summer 5 times and they never picked up the phone, right? That's not what we want. Those are great too. Those can be on your list, but we don't want those to be the 100. We want 100 fresh ones that are solid, that are married, middle-aged, middle income or higher, right? And ideally, you have a top 10 list or a top 20 list where you're like, these people could be the ones that buy sets. They could buy big. They might be people that already bought, that have expressed interest in upgrading to a larger set or whatever. right? But ideally, we want to get you some good stud customers at the beginning of the push. One of the greatest things to happen is that on the first or second day of the push, you have a $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 day. Man, there's nothing that's going to give you more confidence than that. I've seen people win the push all different ways, including I saw one guy, John. John won the trip, literally was at 0 on the last day of the trip. And back then you had to sell 10 grand. There was no free credit, none of it. You had to sell 10 grand. He sold 10 grand on the final day of the push, and he was at 0. So I've seen it done all different ways, but I promise the best way to do it is to have a big day or two at the beginning. So that's what we want to set you guys up for. Just FYI, I will run a workshop on this before Christmas after finals are done. I run a workshop to help you guys, but don't wait for that. I'd like to see you get started as soon as possible to get that thing done, right? And then the last thing, number 3, is simply complete your 1 hour with me. And Charlie, not to call you out, but if you don't mind sticking around for a quick minute so we can schedule that before you disconnect, but complete your hour with me. And then I'll reach out tomorrow with some times that we can do our powwows based on when you get home. And just we'll get those things done and start working on you personally and your specific plans. Cool? Beautiful. So that was everything that I had for tonight. As I promised, I was going to try to keep it under the full allotted time because I do know that many of you guys are in the process of studying and preparing for finals right now. So Charlie, stick around for a moment if you don't mind. If you guys have questions or comments or thoughts or anything, feel free to stick around. I'm in no rush. But otherwise, I release you. For those of you who do have finals, I wish you the best of success in them. And I will look forward to talking to you guys soon.